by his little bird neck for a while, while he tried to kick me to death. We were getting nowhere, so I let him go, and then, half embarrassed, half afraid, I tried to calm him down with soothing words to smudge out his wrath. As the boy listened, he continued to kick me. I continued to soothe him with my words. I felt like King David, the sort of guy who hurts you then tries to bind the wound with poetry. But it takes more than poetry when some kid's using me as a scratching post for a psychotic episode. As if my legs are all the things that ever made him sad. I'm just standing there like a seagull, and the kid's feet are stinging me, not like bees. Bees sting once, then leave their guts behind on the gruesome lollipop sticks of their stingers and go back to the hive so they can die at home. Bees don't have hospitals for dying in because they're bees. But the kid's feet are hornets. Stinging seems to make him stronger, angrier, like Tolkien knives that get excited and glow like nightlights while they're stabbing you to death. In times like that, it takes more than poetry. It takes Moxie. I've learned from Christian summer camp and from binge watching Breaking Bad that I think I know how to cook meth. And that scares me. I also learned that half measures come back to bite you in the ad hominem. No more headlocks, no more poetry. No more fights at all, I decided. Love is the answer. I, like my father before me, will live by love. The roots of my sass and guts will drink from deep pools of love. My father, Mark Williams, is a love legend. He's the one responsible for bringing the very French word romance to Maine, pronounced by the French, less romance. Before my dad, there were only words like hunt and farm, also log and lobster. Now there's romance. People go on hunting dates. Sweethearts reach into the deer they're gutting, and their hands touch accidentally as they're feeling for the bladder. But they find there's so much more than a bladder in there, oh yes, it's romance. Dad's the reason why the farmer's wife in the American Gothic painting looks slightly toward her husband, and why the husband holds his pitchfork in a gentle hand, not the hand of one about to kill a wild boar, but tenderly. The way you'd hold a pitchfork if you were about to stab something funny, like a teddy bear or a mascot. That's Maine romance. My dad, he was a motorcycling in bell-bottoms and sideburns, basketball-slinging, born-again ladies' man. One summer at Camp Fairhaven, Dad decided to take a different counselor girl out on a date every Friday of the entire summer. Dad had not yet reached the evolutionary stage of not crapping where he eats. Achieved his goal, and at the summer's end, a pack of 15 women chased him into the hills. My father laid low up in caves, singing psalms, dancing nude, until the memory of him faded into legend. One morning he stepped out of the woods smelling of dew, lunar moths flying around his head, and a motorcycle grew up out of the ground between Dad's legs, the bike sprouting from the grave of a fallen saint, and Dad rolled back to camp astride that rumbling skeleton of American holiness. There, across the way, stood my mother, half French-Canadian, whole snow goddess. She frostbit my father's heart when she said that first hello, and forever afterwards, his heart carried a frozen node, a chilly pale whale hunting for a place to die in private, where National Geographic's Tom peeping cameras couldn't chase nature's ambulance. The motorcycle crumbled back to St. Bones beneath my father, making rattle sounds, the prophetic gargle whisper of future children, clearing their spectral throats to cry out their existence. As Dad stumbled up to Mom, The name's Williams, Mark Williams. I'm kind of a big deal. Honesty's too much. If you were a basketball, I'd never shoot you. Because I'd always miss you. And I have to close my eyes and hide. Hey, you know where I got these guns? Lifting children out of poverty. I want to hold until I die. I heard you're good in algebra. Could you replace my X's without asking why? Till we both break down and cry. Seriously, can I punch you in the face with my lips? Till the fear in me subsides. 3 months later, my parents were married. I always wanted to live up to my father's coolness in love, but I'd be lucky even riding a skateboard made out of a dead saint. Still, Dad makes me want to hide out in Davidic caves, memorize the whole book of Psalms, and dance naked until the RPs send their 00 Ehud agents to Enoch me out of this world. I remember this kid at Palermo Consolidated School. He Shotokan kicked a hole in the elementary drywall shortly after his girlfriend dumped him. Another kid carved a sweetheart's name into the back of his own hand using a paper clip, and he filled the wound with blue ink to make a tattoo. May that kid rest in peace. But to die for love, is it not romantic? Sadly, I'm no wall kicker. I'm no inky blue Romeo, bold enough to maim myself with a lover's name. I did hear, though, that marriage toughens you up in love like punching a trash bag full of acorns. So I thought, I'll get married. Actually, marriage was always the plan. I've been hunting for a Mindy all my life. I'm like that idiot bird from the children's book, Are You My Mother? I've essentially said, are you my Mindy? To every girlfriend since first grade. I tried to marry them all, thinking that would turn them into Mindys, like kissing magic frogs. I was living this way, even back when I used to dump girlfriends on the last day of school for no reason other than I wanted to play in the woods all summer long without emotional overhead. Way back then, I was just one man, alone. My heart, a lonely hunter. When I got to Geneva, though, I found out there's a whole culture of men cosmically alone, longing desperately to toughen their jaws upon the cud of marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the product of ring by spring culture. I have a metaphor for the whole thing, but first, I want to share a few ring by spring metaphors my editing class invented. The assignment's goal was to sharpen the students' noses for fresh figurative language. Here's what they came up with. Ring by spring is carbon, buried far beneath the Earth's surface. There's a lot of pressure, and you aren't sure if you'll end up crushed or with a diamond. Graduation looms. It's a jump from an airplane. The open sky terrifies. We want to hold someone. We grab hands with that 5 that suddenly becomes a 10, then we jump. Ring by spring is when the teacher says find a partner in class and you don't want to be the last one to partner up with someone weird, or that kid who always gets picked last for everything, so you look frantically around the room for someone, anyone decent enough to partner up with. Ring by spring is a desperate dash toward a pile of diminishing candy. You don't pay much attention to which piece you get as long as you get some. And finally, Ring by Spring is a game of animal tag. You'd better pair up with your chick before you get stuck with the opossum. Those things are creepy. Whichever way you slice it, something in the water here convinces us that the only way to get out of here with our honor intact is to dive through the little golden noose. Graduation looms. It's a ticklish time. Gandalf puts it this way: it's the deep breath before the plunge. Kids are terrified to paddle out into the harbor alone. No matter how postmodern your interpretation of me is, I'm not a girl. I am a guy, though, and as a guy, I say to my fellow males, I know when you first arrived on Geneva's campus, still shivering like new fawns freshly disgorged from the messy wombs of high school. You promised yourselves, I'm gonna marry a girl. You see her there. My first love. She's leaning against the John Black Johnston clock. There's only you in my life. You think, girl, that clock looks like a burned up apple tree drawn by a dumb kid. And you're the last bit of hanging juicy fruit. The only thing that's right. And suddenly, son, you're like Adam and Eve all balled up into one person. Like the rib came out a little dusty and grew up and stabbed Adam, cutting out the and you're like Adam Eve now, ready to cross the sin line with two mouths, two hearts, and one weird double chest. Just don't think about it too much. Two hearts. You see her, and that ringing library Liberty Bell, and that Reformed Presbyterian wagging finger, trying to stop you from your head over heels. Ooh, that might as well be a serpent shoving you to your she-destiny. Two hearts that beat as one. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, graduation, here it comes. It's so scary, you're still single. The ultimate Christian culture failure. Put it this way, let's say some supervolcano in Iceland erupts, covering the Earth's atmosphere in ash, and all life dies. And then Noah's boatload of you singles goes to heaven, and God says, I'll allow you one complaint. God, you're majestic, you're awesome.
Spit it out.
I died single, God.
And there it is. You know that old cliched story about the pastor on the roof in the flood who prayed for me to help him?
Yes.
Watch the sassafras!
Sorry.
Yeah, well, I sent a flat-bottomed duck hunting boat, a jet ski, and a helicopter to save him.
I know. The guy didn't take any of the helps. He was waiting for something more miraculous.
All right, so I sent you to a Christian school.
I know.
But you don't know. The odds of going to a Christian school and not getting married are like 144,000 to 1. I've helped dudes meet their wives at graduation, court them in the chocolate chip cookie after party tents, and propose at Chili's that night. Chili's that night.
It wasn't that easy.
What's easy? You're only breathing right now because I'm squeezing your effigy. What? What's that? What? I can't hear you. What? Okay, enough.
No.
All right, look. I sent you a flat-bottom boat, a.k.a. Hannah.
I know. But she was all about infant baptism, you know? I'm more into girls who are sort of confused about it.
sent Ashley.
Ashley's the jet ski?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't she more of the flat-bottom boat?
You're on thin ice.
Sorry. Wow. Ashley was just too confused.
Granted, hindsight is 20/20, but that's why I sent Emily.
Yeah, Emily. She wanted, like, kids. Like 10 kids.
So, you're a fruit factory. Be fruitful.
Yeah, but every kid you have eats up like 10% of your creativity.
Where do you get that crap? I've got 1 billion kids, and I cough, and planets come out.
Yeah, but you're God.
And you're God's man. Here,
What's this?
helicopter.
Emily?
Emily, call
I
her.
don't want to.
You want to call her.
What Emily's up to these days.
You still got that just in case ring?
You bet I do. You think there's still time before graduation?
Are you kidding? This is Geneva. There's always time. Call her! Yo, Chili's! Yeah, it's me. Like to make a reservation.
Hey, Emily? Yeah, it's me. You still want a ton of kids?
May 7th. Yup. Table for 2, giddy up. Think you can handle that?
Cool.
Thank you much. My peace.
And now, my ring by spring metaphor. You know that scene in Toy Story 3 where all our beloved plastic friends,
2 hearts.
they're heading down the great incinerator garbage chute of the trash destruction complex. And they're all about to get melted into one soulless, non-biodegradable Hershey's feces kiss of capitalism. And they reach out to one another to take each other's hands in preparation for death.
2 hearts that settle as one.
Clinging to one another because clinging is the only thing they can think to do in the face of certain destruction.
Our disappointments have just begun.
And so they roll on toward their moment of big fish death and subsequent removal from Little Pond, grasping one another before the plunge. That is Ring by Spring.
'Cause no one can deny
That is terrifying to graduate single.
this love I have inside.
Except it's not love, it's fill in the blank. I'll be your blank if you'll be my fill.
And I give it all to you.
To you or anyone who will take it, someone please take it. Please.
My love.
My endless love. Anyway, so there I was on campus. I was looking for a Sarah to steal from Father Abraham. When I walked into the studio theater, it was Halloween night. I'm nostalgic about Halloween. It's the holiday that allows me to most show off my Christian liberties. I'm not mature enough yet to pity the weaker brother who's locked up in his house weeping as I circle it in my dog mask because he didn't turn on his front porch light. So that night, Halloween, I wear my skull t-shirt, a reminder to me that I have a skull underneath my head flesh. This ball of meat by which the angels will bowl me into heaven. I walk into the theater and I see her, Mindy George.
Watching every motion in my foolish lover's game.
Mindy says, that'll be $5, and I say, that won't be necessary. I'm like a professor at Geneva. Then Mindy says something beautiful like, that'll be $5.
He's a tad embarrassed. Mindy doesn't buy his charms.
I say, oh, I thought it was free for profs. Mindy just looks at me. I can tell. She's just looking at me. She says, I'll never forget it, she says, there's an ATM at Sheets.
Turning and returning to some secret sheets inside.
Right, I say I'm terrible with directions. Where's this place? Mindy says, walk out the front door. If you can't find sheets, you probably shouldn't come back because you're not going to understand the play. Then she says, good evening, to the couple in line behind me.
Watching in slow-mo.
For her to break. Like she'll break my heart if she doesn't want me. I say to her, here's the money.
As you turn around and say
Something wonderful like,
my love.
but in reality it was more like, here's your ticket.
She took his cash away.
Then she's like, you're in seat 7, enjoy the show, and I'm like,
Take my breath away.
the rest is your typical love at first sight history. Now you might think, pathetic, another couple victims of Ring by Spring. But look, you don't know who my father was, who he still is. And I'm his son.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not the sort of jerk who's obedient to cultural pressure.
No.
I make the pressure.
Yeah, you do.
I draw the first animals on the cave walls. They look like they should look, like beef jerky with arrows in it.
Hey.
I say to my imagination, hey. He's like,
Yo!
yo, who makes the pressure?
Yo, you make the pressure.
When you say it that fast, it kind of sounds like
Depression.
now is the time I'm gonna make a confession.
I know what you're gonna say.
Shut up, I know you do. My imagination.
And as imagination.
A nation of no-flation.
Inflation?
Yeah.
You like totally made that word up to rhyme with imagination.
Are you gonna say something?
Yeah, I'm gonna say something.
Then you better say something to get the blood pumping.
Cricket? Cricket?
Nothing more to say. My stupid imagination, he ditches me all day.
Who you calling stupid?
You.
Who you calling stupid?
Yo.
Who you calling stupid?
Me, I guess. Technically. Hey, ho, who draws the animals? Hey, ho, who draws the animals?
Hey, ho.
Who draws the animals?
We draw the animals.
Yo, it's Matt and Danimal.
Couple of mad animals.
People go look us up in the cryptozoology manuals.
Sucker.
It goes without saying that that was a free verse hip-hop interpretation of my first date with Mindy. My father would be so proud. Hey, Dad?
My son called me up just the other day.
Dad, guess what? Guess what?
He said, guess what, until he made me say, what?
I'm getting married, Dad, to a girl.
Son, does she know it yet?
Yes, I think she knows.
Good. Marriage is fun, son, you should give it a whirl.
You think I'll be a good husband, Dad, as good as you someday?
You're breaking up, son. What'd you say?
You think I'll be a good husband, Dad, someday?
What?
I said you think I'm gonna be a good husband like you are.
What?
Dad?
I can't
Hello?
hear you. I'm sorry.
Dad! As I hung up the phone, it occurred to me that I'd better let her know. Yeah. The girl you're gonna marry ought to know it. Hello, Mindy.
Sup?
I've got a question for you.
Spit it out, Danny. I got lots to do.
When you gonna marry me, I don't know when.
What?
I said, when you gonna marry me, I don't know when.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Hello? When are you gonna marry me? I still don't know when.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Hello, Mindy? Hello, when are you
Sorry.
gonna... Hello?
Sorry.
Hello? Then one fine day in mid-April, I finally worked up the Moxie to take Mindy out on a date at Chong's. Mindy, marry me. I offer you my heart, my soul, my poetry, my life, and we'll have a dual income.
Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe a dual income sounds alright.
So it's a yes, you're gonna marry me?
Ooh, yeah, I guess so. All right.
You see, my friends, all it takes is a little Moxie. Thanks, Dad.